For those of us who wish, Vybz Kartel, otherwise real name Sean Storm, Kahira Jones, Andre St. John. For those of us who wish them well, we're very disappointed and we thought they would have been out by now. But don't forget the mantra, God and time. We're watching, we're paying attention, and tomorrow, Thursday, May 30th, 2 p.m., the judge says he will then make his decision. That decision will decide if they will go free or they will remain behind bars pending whatever is on the horizon. Shout out to the Jamaica Observer. Kingston, Jamaica. A ruling in Vybz Kartel's habeas corpus case is expected to be handed down tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Supreme Court. Vybz Kartel attorney had filed habeas corpus. Habeas corpus, as we explained before, by looking in the law dictionary, it is defined as literally present the body. Not present the body of the person who is thought to be a victim in this case, but present the body of the individual who is before the courts now, the men who are accused. Show us what it is that you are holding them on. And if there is nothing to hold them there, then let them go. So we will know tomorrow, according to the judge today who had a hearing. I've been so busy, I wasn't even paying attention and didn't see like this was going on. Now the ruling will be delivered by Judge Andrea Thomas and follows the conclusion of arguments made by the defense and the prosecution in court on Wednesday afternoon. So they've been going at this for multiple days now. Lawyers representing Vybz Kartel and 2 of his 3 accused filed the habeas corpus application seeking their release on Monday, May 14th, because of issues the defense did not wish to disclose. We covered that. Fast forward to today, the 28th yesterday, the 29th today, the 28th yesterday, the 29th today, the 30th tomorrow, when the judge said, you will know my decision then. The application follows the Privy Council's Thursday, March 14th ruling that Vybz Kartel and his co-accused have had their convictions quashed for the 2011 murder conviction of Clive Lizard Williams. We've been all through, up and down this already. Many people are questioning, well, if his conviction was quashed, why would they not at least give bail until they decide if they would indeed go for a trial again, a retrial, considering the fact that they have been incarcerated for over a decade already, and at the highest court, Privy Council found great fault with this case, enough to overturn or quash the conviction. Quash meaning null and void, no good, verdict cannot stand, does not exist, which returned these men to no longer being convicted murderers as the law had them before, but now they were seen as citizens who were accused. The Privy Council had ordered that the case be returned to the Jamaica Appeal Court to decide whether a retrial is necessary for Kartel and his co-accused Sean Storm Campbell, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John. The application follows the Privy Council's ruling on Thursday, March 14th, which quashed the conviction of Kartel and his co-accused for the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Now, the Privy Council had returned it to the appeal courts in Jamaica, and the Privy Council said they in Jamaica might know things about this case more than we in England do. So we're going to give them a chance to get it right? Send it back to them, and if it is in the name of justice and seeking justice, then they might want to have a retrial. I think it was a matter of respect from one court to the other, I think the Privy Council didn't want to seem like they were trampling all over the Jamaica justice system. They wanted to give them some leeway. They didn't want to totally embarrass them, so they backed the ball back over into their court, even though they had quashed the conviction. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. There was another option that the Privy Council could have gone with. The Privy Council could have very well said, let the conviction stand. Even though we know about the jury tampering and all that, let the conviction stand. Because we've seen enough to know that regardless of what, this would have been a guilty verdict anyways. They did not do that. They quashed the conviction. So putting it back in the courts, there has been many arguments across Jamaica. Some people are saying, well, the Privy Council just frig up the whole thing, dog, because the Privy Council could have just let go the whole case and just dash it out and just let the man them free one time. But again, I think this was a matter of respect and a matter of not letting the Jamaican justice system be a total laughingstock to the population. Believe it or not, I personally think that if the Privy Council had completely backed that case for 6 and said, done, throw it out, let them out today, would have been joyful on one end for those who support Vybz Kartel and the rest of the mandem, Sean Storm, Kahiro Jones, and Andre St. John. But on the other side, it would have been complete embarrassment in the face of the people. Now, you must remember, regardless of what, the people must always abide by the law. And the overseer of Jamaica law is the British, right, in the British courts. So they weren't going to just hang them out to dry and then leave mayhem hanging out there. We respect what was said, and we're looking forward to tomorrow. The Privy Council had ordered that the case be returned to the Jamaican Appeal Court to decide whether a retrial is necessary for the men. And the Privy Council's ruling followed an appeal that was made last month, February 14th and 15th, by lawyers representing the then convicted, who argued various grounds including the admissibility of telecommunication evidence, allegations of jury misconduct, and pressure on the jury to reach a verdict. If you paid attention to a case like the Beachy Stout case, the judge who oversaw the Beachy Stout case, when it was time for the judge to do his summation, if you know how a case ends, you will have defense give their closing argument, and then you will have prosecution give their closing argument, and then or vice versa, and then you will have the judge. And the judge will give their summation and then instruction to the jury for the jury to go off and come back with a verdict. You realize that the judge in the Beachy Stout case took days to give a summation or to sum up the case. And that is because looking ahead or looking back at the Vybz Kartel Sean Storm them case that was at the Privy Council and just got the conviction quashed, that was one of the issues, right? One of the issues was that the jury was pressured, was that the judge, after a 60-odd days long trial, the judge summation was basically 2 sentences. It was like saying, and I'm not saying exactly 2 sentences, but I'm saying it was short. And in hindsight, it was too short to properly break down with proper instructions to the jury so they could come back with a balanced finding, right? So the Privy Council ruling followed that. And there were issues with admissibility of telecommunication evidence. There were issues with allegations of jury misconduct. There were issues with pressure on the jury to reach a verdict. People were like, I Friday, I want to go home. Come, hurry up, find them guilty, make we leave. Another ground cited for appeal was the judge's decision to not discharge the jury, so the accused juror, following allegations of bribery attempts, remained on the jury all the way through the trial, even up until they made a decision at the end, guilty or innocent. A conviction came down. To show you how messed up this was, how could you use somebody that you think is so tainted that you are planning all along, when the boy had done jury duty, we are going to try him and convict him, because we know him guilty. But you allowed him to stay on the jury regardless. That juror was later actually brought back into court and was tried and was found guilty and was sentenced to prison time. But he was allowed to stay on the jury until the decision was made, guilty or innocent, in the Vybz Kartel them original trial. Big mistake, big mess up, a whole mess. Another ground cited for appeal was the judge's decision to not discharge that person. Now, the appellants also argue that there was an apparent rush that was placed on the jury to return the verdict, even after the forewoman had told the judge earlier in the day that the jury could not reach a unanimous decision. I've seen juries deliberate for days. In Jamaica, it seems like the jury deliberates for a couple of hours and then there's a verdict, right? It seems like always there's a rush. It's like, I want to go home on my yard, yeah, man. Find him guilty, come make we go home. Find him innocent, come make we go home, right? And there seems like there was a rush considering how long this case was and the magnitude of this case. A high-profile case with a high-profile individual and a lot of media coverage, so on and so forth on it. Now, since the ruling, the artist has remained behind bars in prison. Shortly after, Kartel questioned the need for a retrial in his statement to Fox 5 News, saying, quote unquote, "I feel victorious in this very moment at the Privy Council. In their infinite wisdom, understood the assignment and remedied the situation by quashing my conviction." I must say that Vybz Kartel is a very well-spoken guy, and we all know that he is highly intelligent. Make no mistake about it, that is actually exactly why he was given the name the teacher, right? Because he is actually really highly intelligent. Now, I'm going to go back and say what his school teacher said about him from before when he was in school and all these other things. I'm just saying, you can tell by the way that he speaks, because nowadays I've watched many dancehall artists conduct interviews and their verbiage, language, use of the English language is atrocious, to say the least, on a international platform or stage, right? So it was powerful words that were said. I feel victorious in this very moment as the Privy Council, in their infinite wisdom, understood the assignment and remedied the situation by quashing my conviction. I am now back to being an innocent man in the eyes of the law. A grave injustice was done to me and my co-accused in the original trial, and my cries were heard in the land's highest court. Facts. So after that, we were wondering, okay, the highest courts has said, dash out the conviction. Where do we go from here? It has come to our attention, and not now, but for years we've been saying this, that this case seems to be something of a personal vendetta other than just searching for justice for a particular individual. You understand? The amount of ups and downs that we've seen, the amount of biased dealings that we've seen. I'll give you a good example. Starting from the original trial judge, who ignored that he was supposed to stop and restart or do away with the jury and start over the jury pool, or because it was contaminated, or that he should